Yes, people, it's Cam, and by the title, I am going to tell you guys how we booked 9 to 12 calls per day for our brand new offer back at the start of the year. I'm going to tell you everything that we did and everything that you can do. So, without any further ado, let's jump straight into the computer. Cool. So, proof or it's not true. First thing, actually, let me forget that I said that. So this is December 2023. This is Tristan's calendar. I don't, for some reason, the ones on my calendar aren't coming up. But as you can see, this is maybe 8 or 6, and we were equally booked over both calendars. As I go through again, had a little break over Christmas, but then we came back into it again, booking in those calls and getting those calls booked in. Right, so that's always my thing. Proof or it's not true. So yes, that's the proof. Now, I only had 3 steps in my appointment setting funnel, right? And there are only really 3 steps in how to do this. So first thing is traffic, which AKA is getting in front of them being your prospects. The second thing is a lead magnet, AKA getting their details or your prospects' details. And then the third thing is appointment setting, AKA getting them to book. It's all you have to do, right? You get in front of people, you get their details, then you get them to book. Then they're booked in. Then obviously afterwards it's your job to sell them, take money off them, whatever. Now, first thing that you have to get right is traffic. Now, what I was looking for with traffic is I was looking for something that was scalable, predictable, targeted, and I was able to find people with problems, okay? This is the only thing that you need for traffic. Now, when I talk about traffic, this is just getting in front of people, like I said. Don't overcomplicate this. So where does your target audience congregate? Get in front of them. The only things you want is you want it to be scalable, predictable, targeted, and to find people with problems. Now, for me, that was Facebook ads. That's what I did. I did Facebook ads. Now, if I can show you just quickly, here are the ads that we were running. Now, this ad account is no longer in use, but again, look, 1st of December 2023 to 31st of January 2024. These were some of the campaigns. There were a few more, but we got 588 leads, £2.30 cost per lead, very, very cheap. Only spent 1,300, which isn't actually right. We spent a little bit more. I wish we were that effective. We weren't. We spent a little bit more. But here you can see the ads that we were running and how we were doing things. So, like I said, for me, the main thing was to be scalable, predictable, targeted, and find people with problems. That's something that you can do very, very easily with paid traffic. Now, there are other ways to do it. You could have done cold email to get your traffic. You could have done TikTok ads. You could have organically posted content. Now, the reason why I didn't do that, just to explain, is because I believe that Facebook ads are the most scalable. I also believe they're the most predictable. I also believe they're the most targeted. And I also think it's the easiest way to find people with problems for what we were doing. Okay? Anytime that we make, anytime we want to get traffic, these are the things that we look into. Okay? Now, here's some tips for running Facebook ads. And if you guys want me to do a video on Facebook ads where I actually touch on how to run Facebook ads or how to do it successfully, then comment down below, and I will make a video talking about Facebook ads and how to run them effectively. I'll go through every step, setting them up. But here are my tips. Put 90% of your time and effort into making a good offer, writing good copy, and having a good creative. And then put 10% of your time into the media buying. So the actual media buying is not that important, I promise. I promise. Especially when starting out, especially with a low budget. You might think that you need to do this super specific targeting and all these different things. It's not actually that helpful, right? This remains the same whatever platform you're running ads on, whether it's TikTok, Google, etc. Copy, offer, creative. If there is no creative, then offer and copy, please. Okay, so that's the first thing. We get the traffic, but with that traffic, you need to get the people's details. You're in front of people, but you need to get them to opt in. Now, the way that we do that is we do it with a lead magnet. Now, in a lead magnet, what was I looking for? Now, the first thing, or the only thing, sorry, is I'm looking to make it whatever my prospect is looking for. Okay, so whatever my prospect wants, I'm going to give them in a lead magnet. That's the only way to say it. There is no perfect lead magnet. It depends on what your prospect wants. We give our prospects what they want, and they give us what we want. Sorry. What we want from them is their contact details. What we give to them or what they want from us depends on the offer. Okay? Now, if your offer is good enough, you can just use that as your lead magnet. So if we jump back over, this was our lead magnet. Enter your details to learn how to become a high-ticket remote sales rep, which includes a free training video. Now, for most people, that might not work, but my offer was good enough where we generated a very low cost per lead. As you can see, everybody wanted this. We were only spending about £2.30 to get a cost per lead, and in reality, that was maybe £3.30, a little bit higher, but we were able to get very cheap leads, okay? But for most of you guys, this might not be the case. Now, if it isn't, no worries. The way that you make a good lead magnet is you give something away that has a high perceived value, right? Perceived value, bear in mind. Value isn't actually actualized, if that's a word. Value doesn't matter. It's all about perceived value at this stage because you need to get people to opt in. If what you have is valuable but it doesn't look valuable, it's no use, okay? So, things that do not have a high perceived value, this is important. Ebooks. That's my first thing. I can't tell you how many times I've spoken to clients or prospects or potential clients who think that an ebook is of high perceived value. They think that they're going to sell this 100-page ebook and that's going to do magic. Nobody wants an ebook. The reason and the way that I can explain this, and when I say nobody, it's a little bit unfair, but hear this. Now, what's the most that you've ever spent on a book? For me, I think I spent £20 one time on a hardback, some kind of hardback book. It's probably the most I spent. Now, if I asked you, do you think an ebook or a book is more valuable, what would you say? Now, 99% of people are going to say that a book is more valuable. So the maximum value of an ebook is £20. The maximum value. Okay? I don't really know what else to say. That's not a high perceived value. Okay? So another question I have is, when was the last time that you downloaded an ebook? You're watching a YouTube video, so you consume video content, but I'm pretty sure you haven't downloaded an ebook in a long time, okay? Next thing I would say is anything super generic. Anything super generic, it doesn't have a high perceived value. It's too generic, it's not that helpful. And by generic, I mean if you made a video on top 3 marketing tips, it's way too broad, or top 3 business tips, way too broad. Fourth thing is anything over salesy or blatant pitches. If something's blatantly sales, people don't want to opt in. And then the last thing is anything that's super long. So I know I touched on this before, but a lot of what goes into something being valuable isn't how long it is. In fact, the quicker something is, the more valuable it is, because it means the less, like Hormozy says, the less time and sacrifice you have to give to get your desired outcome, the more valuable something is. So making a 3,000-page ebook doesn't make it valuable. Making a 3,000 video course doesn't make it more valuable. Same thing goes with your lead magnet. Okay, so here are things that do have a high perceived value. Informative videos. I know the free training thing's a bit of a meme now, but informative videos, the reason that free training was popping so much is because they are valuable, right? Next thing is things that quickly fix the specific problem you touched on. So a cheat sheet is actually something that's valuable. If you had something that was, if this video was how we booked 9 calls per day, or the 10 steps to book 9 calls per day, it's specific and it will quickly, if there was a quick cheat sheet on it, that would be valuable. Next thing is audits. Audits are always helpful. People like personalization. This can be a little bit longer, but again, audits are good. And then the last thing I've said is consultations, but only sometimes. Now, consultations, people can be scared of. Like, I don't like booking free consultations for a lot of things, but for some things I do. So that's why I said sometimes. Now, if your overall offer isn't that good, then a free consultation is not going to work. So, for example, if you've got a marketing agency and you say we'll do a free consultation and it's quite broad, typically people don't love those, but sometimes consultations do work. So that's why I said sometimes. Now, the easiest way to make a good lead magnet, and it needs to be very specific to your audience, but the way that you do that is you build something out that you typically sell for £100, sorry, or something that other people are giving away for £100 and you sell it for free. So the easiest way to make a good lead magnet is build something that you're planning to sell, or that is good enough to sell for £100, and then give it away. That's what I would say. That is the best type of lead magnet. Simple tips with me. So here's some extra notes. Self-liquidating funnels or self-liquidating offers are good ideas. Now, what a self-liquidating offer is a lot of the time people say to me, I want to sell this lead magnet for £20, or I want to make a tripwire offer. Good idea, but firstly, you need a lot more skill to actually get this off the ground. So that isn't how we launch our offers quickly, because it takes a long time to get right. And the second thing is, anytime you charge for the lead magnet, you're going to massively reduce your flow. Yes, you're going to make people more qualified, but you're going to massively reduce your flow. So there is a fine balance between flow and how qualified your leads are, and it's up to you to find that balance. So some people like high flow. Me, I typically like high flow when starting out an offer, but some people like high qualification. All right. Now, the third step. So at this point, you've got in front of your target audience. Your target audience has opted in. They've given you their phone number, their contact details. So now it's time to actually set their appointments. Okay. Now, what I did is I picked up the phone and I started dialing. Yeah, I picked up the phone and I started dialing. Now, everyone that's reading this, you probably want to run an automated funnel. You don't want to call anyone. You don't want to have to work. Well, guess what? Neither do I. I don't want to call anyone if I don't have to. I'd much rather set an offer, have a landing page, and people just pay me £1 million a pop. Or people go onto my landing page and they just buy. Yeah, that's what I want. Or I want to run ads where people just book. That's ideal. And that's the response I have to everybody that I talk to. They say they don't want to make calls. Well, neither do I. But guess what? If you want a funnel that can book 9 calls a day as soon as you launch it, you're going to have to pick up the phone and dial, right? That's the only way to do it. Automation is good, but sometimes you've just got to do the work, the unscalable work, okay? So what I did and how I booked 9 calls a day is I called, and bear in mind, a lot of the days we have more than 9 calls. I called every single lead that opted in and got them booked into our calendar. Every single one. Every lead that came in, I called them and got them booked. And that is exactly how we did it. Okay. Now, here are the rules of my dialing. And I've done a video on this. First one is speed to lead. As soon as the lead comes in, you need to get notified so you can call them straight away. Second thing is you need to double dial. Everyone that calls, you call, they don't pick up, you call again, right? Next thing is you need to use the rule of 3. Now, my rule of 3 is that I call people 3 times for 3 days before saying that I couldn't get hold of them. And what I mean by that is I double dial them in the morning, I double dial them in the afternoon, I double dial them in the evening. That's one day. I do that 3 times in a row before moving people over, okay? Now, if you follow these rules, you call everyone and you follow this, it will be easy to book people in. Now, these calls should take about 5 minutes. Now, what I want to say is that if you want me to help you make a script on the actual call, what should be said, how to appointment set, then again, comment down below and I will make a video on my exact appointment setting script and how you guys can follow it, and I'll even make one. I'll make some kind of template that you guys can have where you can just fill in your business and it will work for that. Okay, so the aim of my dialing and why I dial, why I think dialing is so important. The first thing is to qualify your leads, to make sure that the leads that you book on your calendar can actually afford what you do and they're actually qualified for it, right? Now, because of that, some people you call, you don't get booked in. We don't book everyone in. We find out if they're good to get booked in and we book them in. If they're not, we tell them not to book in and we still give them some free value. Next thing is we make sure that they actually watch our acquisition assets. So whatever lead magnet they opted in for, we make sure that they actually use it. We need to make sure that they read it, so then it's going to nurture them and make them more likely to buy and to book. Remember, the end goal isn't to get someone to book a call, it's to get someone to buy, right? So we need to nurture them on the call, build rapport with them, talk to them, be their friend, teach them something. If you can, if you're a junior and your a job is an appointment set, you obviously can't, but if it's your business, teach them something, talk to them, make them feel good, make them have a connection with your business. There's a big difference between someone that's spoken to someone and someone that hasn't. If you see an ad of me and I call you and talk to you personally and I was the same guy you saw in the ad and we have a good conversation for 5-10 minutes versus the guy whose landing page you saw, even if he has more testimonials, more whatever, you're going with me because we've spoken, we've built up some kind of rapport. Third thing, the aim of the call is to actually get them to book the call, and I get them to book on the call with me. And then the last thing that I do is I actually make sure that they turn up, right? So I talk to them, and again, because I've spoken to them, they're more likely to turn up because they feel like they're letting someone down. If you've just gone through an automation system, You don't feel like you're letting anyone down, so it's easy to not turn up. You don't feel like you're talking to a human. Okay? Now, why do I dial? And this is an important thing to touch on because I know a lot of people don't want to, especially as the business owner. They think that they don't have to dial themselves. Now, the reason that I dial and I always opt for high lead flow when starting out with a new offer is because you get real life data by talking to your target audience. You can find out what they like, why they opted in, their pain points, and what they don't like, and you get that live. Now, if you sit behind a computer and no one's booking, you have a low flow, your funnel is low flow, and it's high qualification, and maybe your lead magnet costs £10. You might sit there on day one and no one's bought. You don't know why no one's bought. There is no changes to make. As far as you're concerned, everything's gone badly. Your ads have gone badly, your landing page has gone badly. There is nowhere to see where the bottlenecks, where you're losing out on whatever you're doing. Now, with my strategy, I go high flow. So I can see that, really, everyone's opting in, but they don't like the lead magnet. Or no one's picking up the phone. Why is that? Or everyone's booking calls, but they're not turning up. These ways you can see what bottleneck is wrong and you can address it. That only works with high flow. If you have high flow, you're able to see the numbers and stack them and see where things are going well and where things are going right. Okay. So getting 9 qualified booked calls per day, I said qualified, I'm adding that in now, is a byproduct of doing these inputs. So the thing I want you guys to know the most is that 9 booked calls is the output. That's what you get, right? The input is just doing those 3 things that I've said. That is literally it. So if you want 9 booked calls per day as soon as you launch your offer, that's how we do it. That's how we do it. That's how we did it. That's also how you guys can do it too. So I will see you on the other side. That is all. Bye.